Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with NETGEAR. Today's host is Jordan Cooper, and he is their Territory Account Manager for California and Texas, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Jordan will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Jordan, thank you so much for being with us today. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for taking this time to learn about NETGEAR's Insight Pro. Some of you guys may have already be familiar with it. Some of you may not. Those who are familiar, hopefully this will be a good refresher and good overview of what Insight Pro has to offer for the MSPs and VARs and anybody who's in the SMB management field. Before we begin, know that just like Julie said, I'm an account manager. I'm not an engineer by any means, but I definitely have a love of the technology. So I know enough to get myself into some hot water. So just keep that in mind. Be gentle with those questions. I'll try to answer to the best I can. But let's just dig right into it. The Insight Pro that we're going to be talking about today, we are going to be mainly focused on for those people who maybe haven't implemented or are just barely getting into the MSP world. You know, maybe as a traditional VAR or reseller, you're just an installer or you're just an integrator and you just kind of set it and forget it and walk away. If you're not an MSP, it's a great platform to use. It's definitely a money-making platform to use. And so, and for those people who are currently using an MSP type platform or company to expand outside of what maybe you're already selling and offering. And this presentation will give you a guide on NETGEAR's Insight and how it would benefit you to start utilizing the Insight Pro if you're not. So as we go through, we'll talk a little bit about what it is and how it works. But before we get into that, let's just some little side key fun little things to know about NETGEAR. We were founded in '96. We got over 800 products across 3 categories. Your home, most people know us for our home, right? Almost everybody I know, even before working with NETGEAR, has a NETGEAR router. I know I did, but very well versed in the home and very well versed also in the SMB. We also have a company called Mural. It's a company that we just bought out over the last couple of years ago. They do some great artwork type digital displays. If you haven't heard about that or see that, definitely check that out. They're really cool. Also, kind of some interesting facts is more than 50% of NETGEAR's switches are worldwide. So pretty much what that means is 2/3 of all the worldwide SMB network traffic pass through a NETGEAR switch. It's a really interesting fact, and it just goes to show that NETGEAR is a well-known name out in the SMB, and we're well-known for basically 3 reasons, right? We always want to be reliable, we want to be affordable, and we want to be easy to use. It's not something that we feel like most companies out there can say. You know, we feel like there are companies out there who, if I said, hey, there's a company out there that's very reliable, but it's not affordable, well, I'll probably have an idea of who that might be, or vice versa. We could say, hey, this company is very affordable, but they're really not really reliable, maybe really not easy to use. That's another, someone could say, oh, I kind of think I know what we're talking about there. So NETGEAR wants to make sure that we're hitting all 3 of those on every product that we release. As I go through this presentation, there are going to be some color coding that we put in here that we'll kind of talk about. Black is just kind of the framework. We'll talk about some of the pain points that are going to be highlighted in red that you and your customers, pretty much everybody experiences. Green are going to be what NETGEAR has as solutions to those problems and pain points there. And then we also have some third-party validations, companies who have tested our product that are not tied with us in any way, shape, or form, that they also validate and confirm what NETGEAR has to offer and the benefits of it. So when we dive into this, some things to kind of ask yourself, what percentage of your business is management? And not only of what percentage of your business is management, but how much of that is remote versus on-premise management? There are a lot of things that make NETGEAR different in the management type of world. it's been around for, gosh, maybe about 5 years now. And during that 5 years, if we look back 5 years ago when this started getting introduced, NETGEAR, of course, wasn't the first to introduce this, and we, of course, weren't the last. But when we saw this trend in this direction, that this is where the market was heading, was moving away from your traditional wired controllers, or your wireless controllers, but actual physically on site. Couple of names automatically popped up to who started doing this. Won't go into names, but we all know who we're talking about. The first one will be big name, very enterprise level. They make great products. They just come at a very high price tag. And NETGEAR looked at that and said, hey, well, we're focused on the small to medium business, not really the enterprise level. If I could drive a Lamborghini, I would, but I don't. I stick to driving my Honda. So we said, okay, well, who's more focused on in the more smaller side of businesses? And we found another provider out there that was very affordable, but unfortunately that affordability came at a cost. They were lacking a lot of things, lacking warranty, lacking support, reliability, really wasn't quite there, but they achieved one thing, and that was the affordability. And so it steered a lot of people to that. And 5 years ago, NETGEAR looked at that and said, man, if you're an MSP or if you're somebody who's wanting to manage your own network, you're really kind of in a tough spot. You don't really have a great solution that you can confidently get behind 100%. You have a good product with a good reliability, good support, but it's pretty expensive that I can't afford. And then you have a product that you can afford, but isn't the greatest as far as support and reliability. So NETGEAR said, hey, boom, let's make that our play. Let's take the best of both. Let's take a lot of feedback from your MSPs and VARs and people who do these things, what they like about both, what they don't like about both, and let's make that NETGEAR. So that's how NETGEAR's Insight was born. And since that 5 years, it's gone through a lot of refining fire. It's gone through a lot of those updates and firmware updates with the latest and greatest features that VARs like to see. So at this point in time, it's at a really good place where it pretty much shows everything that you'd want and nothing that you wouldn't. And so if you haven't seen NETGEAR's Insight, I encourage you to go onto our website and start checking it out. But we're going to this isn't going to show you what it looks like. We're not going to dive into all the features and the bells and whistles. Maybe that'll be another presentation. But this is just for those people who are not currently utilizing NETGEAR as a remote cloud management platform and why you should. So as you ask yourself, okay, how much is it remote versus on-premise? NETGEAR is basically the only manufacturer to offer both on-premise and remote ability. A lot of it's either or you have to pay a certain amount to have access to it, and if you don't, they're dead. Not NETGEAR. And we want to make sure that we stand out and that we're different than other IT vendors out there. So let's talk about a bit of some of the challenges and trends that we're kind of seeing as we go out through the market and what the market is telling us. So switches, we offer cloud management with our switches. We offer it with our wireless products and access points, and then obviously with routing products and your basic routers, wireless routers, and wired routers. So talking about each trend, let's talk about these. One of the trends that we're noticing, and I'm sure you guys obviously have noticed as well, is an increase of software-defined management, which ultimately means bringing hardware management to the software layer with remote access. Another trend that we're seeing is an increase in network complexity, both in the wireless and wired. There's more stuff getting out there, and it's getting more and more complicated. And lastly, there's a high demand for multi-site management. At this point, remote setup and configuration and high availability, like having a cloud or remote, is a must. In the switching category, we saw an increase in speed, both in bandwidth and PoE. It's crazy to think in my mind that PoE++ or Ultra PoE is out there and is being utilized. When we're talking about 60 to 90 watts of power per port, just kind of blows my mind. And it makes sense, I guess, with this as Wi-Fi 6, 6E, and even 7's coming down the pipe. These are some heavy power drawing devices to be able to fulfill the speeds that they offer. And it makes sense why you need some more PoE budget. Another trend that we've noticed is an increase in cloud-based applications running in the SMB locations. We see just a lot more things being removed off-site. Cloud's becoming the new popular thing. And due to the this growing digital age that we're in, we're also seeing obviously an increase of a lot of users, a lot of IoTs. You know, gosh, I feel like in my own home, my Orbi shows me that I've got like 80 plus devices, which I didn't think I really had that many. But when I go to count my cameras and my Google Homes, and my Ring and my Nest, and my Wi-Fi crock pot that somehow I got tricked into buying, it's just there's more and more IoT devices, and even people bringing their own devices. We're seeing an increase of people bringing their own stuff. You know, with an increase of these switch features and users and demands, pricing and warranty, I would say, has been the forefront in purchasing decisions. I don't know of anybody who's had not been in mind of what's, you know, price and budget. That's always what it usually comes down to, is price and budget. And then another trend we're obviously seeing is an increase for the cloud and remote management. Let's talk about the wireless. An increase in micro business, small home office, or even work from home companies out there. Yeah, obviously, since the pandemic, it's changed a lot of things, and one thing that it's changed a lot of is the work from home. Working from home is the new trend, and having a cloud management to manage those work from home people and managing their routers and managing what they have at home is also critical to separating out in safety and security, separate the traffic from their home versus the business. We're also seeing an increase in capacity and efficiency, video streaming, right, gaming. It's also crazy to think that the file sizes are just getting so much bigger with 8K TV. VR is gaining in popularity. AI is coming and going. And we're just at the forefront of just so much technology being thrown at us. You have to have in today's business, you have to have a solid foundation. You cannot rely, if you're still someone relying on fast Ethernet, you're definitely way behind. And even in 1 gig, we're pushing the forefront of getting past, and if not already past 1 gig. Just with everything that's coming on, file sizes are huge. And with all this, it all comes down to we want less complexity. We want ease of management and setup, something that's not going to take level 3 engineer hours to go and deploy. We want something very quick and easy, and also with minimal downtime. As we all know, downtime is costing companies a lot more. So the easier of installation, the more reliable, the better it is for everybody. And then security. Right, top-notch security. With all these IoTs, with all these things coming, security is obviously a big concern. And making sure that you have the top-notch latest security to help with threat prevention and traffic separation between, internal and even guest networks and home networks. It's all very crucial. And then on the routing side, kind of we talked about, many SMBs are increasing configurations for their network. Choosing a secure, reliable business routers is kind of the heart of everything. As daily modern life increases, continues to rely on digital data, data security and protection, like a VPN connection tunnel is kind of crucial. I use a VPN to remote to my office when I'm working from home. And so, as I think a lot of companies do it as well. So having a router to be able to do so easily is very important. And then collaboration between everything, right? Ethernet switching, network security, VPN capability, remote working, all this has become an important asset when you're looking at a router and choosing what router. Now, I would kind of ask yourself, if you're using a current cloud solution, what challenges are you facing with the cloud solution that you're using? And if you're not using any, I'll show you why. And even if you are, I'll show you why you need Insight Pro with NETGEAR. NETGEAR, so now we're going to kind of talk about kind of the solutions. One thing that I always ask my VARs is how much of your business are you just doing what is recommended or what is asked by your customer? You know, how much of your business is based on just someone saying, hey, I want this company to as my using for my router or my switching or my wireless, based upon their recommendation. You're just saying, oh, okay, whether it's good, whether you feel good or bad about it, you're just doing it based upon the request. And think about that, because there's a lot of unknowns out there that may not be not known of what other solutions are out there. I can't tell you how many times business has been hurt from my VARs who just offered one thing, one solution, or just offers what the customer wants, says, hey, that's what they want, I'm not at fault if that's what they want. And that's true, but also it goes to the support level of you're much more trusted if you throw your 2 cents in. If you give them saying, hey, you know, curious, why are you choosing this company? What do you like about this company that they do, you know, and share your experiences. Ultimately, you should be the expert, not your customer, and share what you know. And if they still end up going with that, you know, you're giving them a more informed decision for them to decide who they want to go off of. So when we're talking about NETGEAR, we offer obviously a wide selection of switches, access points. We did do a bit of storage, but we've kind of, since the chip shortage, we've kind of slowly killed that out. The routers we got our Orbi Pros and some other routers out there, but we're starting to really kick it up with the routers and really introduce some more great routers that are kind of coming up. We'll talk here in just a minute about. But remote management. We provide remote management across all of this, the switching, the access points, the routers. We offer the remote management, whether it's wired or wireless access points, firmware management, all of those stuff can be done remotely. So that's what Insight Pro can do. It simply provides an end-to-end cloud network management solution for the small to medium business wired and wireless solutions. It does come with a 1-year Insight premium on all hardware devices. So if you have a switch or an access point or router that is capable of having Insight, it comes with a year free for you to try out, test out, and take a look and see what you think. One thing that I will say too is after that year is up, ours is not required. We do not require the license if you want to have the management feature. You pay for it, and if you don't want it, then you don't have to have it. And the device will still 100% work. We will not brick it up. It will not be shut down. And you can even do both. And you know, there are some competitors out there that make you choose, hey, one or the other. Not us. You can have the remote management, and then if you were on site and you wanted to do something on site, let's say it was just right there and you already plugged into something else, you can easily configure and do all those things that you wanted to locally. Definitely. So let's see here. Yeah, we'll kind of keep going as we kind of talk. Just I don't want to do death by PowerPoint, but simply put, NETGEAR is what we strive to be is a total cost of ownership, be very, very low on the total cost of ownership over the course of 5 years, when everybody wants to, you know, that's the goal, to not have to do a network refresh in at least for a minimum of 5 years without having to replace things as they die. We want to make sure that that's as low as possible, which means ultimately means more money in your guys' pocket and a happier customer and happier you base. When we talk about the switching side, gosh, NETGEAR offers so many switches, it can make your head spin. You know, we offer anything from your core to your edges, right? We offer unmanaged and to smart managed. That's where the cloud managed can come into play, to even fully managed layer 3 stuff. Our switching portfolio is without a doubt the most comprehensive switch portfolio on the market, without a doubt. From 5 ports, you know, 1 gig all the way up to 100 gig switches. Not very many people know that we do 100 gig switches, but we absolutely do have the ability and have a couple switches that do 100 gig switches, and they are in quite a few data centers, as the price point is very, very, very much affordable and as reliable as everybody else, as all those other big enterprise 100 gig switches out there. On our smart managed, Not all of our smart switches have it right now. Eventually they will. Since it's been around for about 5 years, we're kind of at the tail end of maybe a switch was released shortly after Insight came out, and we generally will end of life and re-release maybe another version of that switch with Insight. Know that Insight is the goal of NETGEAR to have all of our smart switches be remotely managed or capable of having remote management. So if you're not sure which switches do, you can go to NETGEAR's website and go to netgear.com/insight, click on devices, and then you can see all of our switches that have and that currently offer the cloud managed. But rest assured, probably within the next couple of years, basically all of our switches that are smart managed will have the remote management capability on it. Another thing to note is ours has a limited lifetime warranty on these. What that means is it's going to be 5 years after the end of life date. So like I said, we typically like to end of life things 5 or 6 years from when they get announced, unless there's something crazy, maybe a chip shortage caused us, the chip manufacturer said, hey, we're done making that. It's forced us to switch. But generally speaking, we try to be about every 5 years, we want to re-release a switch. So assuming you'll have at least 5 years there, and then another at least 5 years at the end of that end of life deal. So if you got in right as it was released, you got like a solid 10 years of a warranty on that thing. If anything dies, we'll replace it. And we offer a next business day replacement on pretty much all of those as well too. Which, I mean, obviously saves you time and saves you money. When it comes down to the wireless side of things, we offer a range of access points. We are heavily involved in the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E of the access points. All of our access points are cloud managed. There are just a couple though that are not, that are locally managed, that are just meant to be single deployment access points. We are just, they just need one access point and covers the entire office. Maybe think of I think I went to my CPA. I went to a CPA the other day, and he had a NETGEAR access point just sitting up in the ceiling, and it covered up did more than his entire office plus some, and that was all he really needed. And just to set it and forget it. He's not an IT guy, didn't really worry about it, so that was a perfect solution for him. But we have tons of access points out there. These access points offer some great features, the Wi-Fi 6 stuff, which obviously is for faster speed, less congestion. Even if you feel like, hey, Wi-Fi 6 is still new. I was talking to a guy the other day and he was saying, hey, Wi-Fi 6 is still too new for me. I'm still, we're doing just fine on Wi-Fi 5. And of course, there's future proofing that we talked about. Hey, we want to make sure that you're set for the next 5+ years. Will that still happen with an AC? Probably not. I can't imagine that we're going to be even. I think Wi-Fi 6 in 5 years is going to be a thing of the past. And so definitely want to set yourself up there. But also just know that Wi-Fi 6, even if you may not have a lot of Wi-Fi 6 capable devices now, your Wi-Fi 6 will still allow for more devices to be connected to it, right? At the very least, it's less congestion on the network. Less congestion obviously means faster speeds, just like a traffic, right? LA traffic sucks, and when there's less congestion, you can go faster. So with the Wi-Fi 6, obviously comes some more security. The WPA3 is going to be a new encryption security that just allows things to be a bit more secure. Multiple SSIDs for isolation and traffic separation. Again, we're going to kind of go through this real quick. Tri-band. Tri-band's also a really great thing for wireless mesh when you're wanting to do, when you can't run a wire, tri-band should be the go-to. Orbi Pro has a fantastic tri-band, super fast, super easy setup, and is remote managed as well. So definitely take a look at our Orbi Pro, super easy deployment and super fast speeds. And now let's talk about our router. When this, we used to just have the BR200. It recently got end of life due to one of the reasons is that the chip manufacturer said, hey, we're just not going to make this chip anymore. So we've kind of taken the same box, and we're soon here in the next, hopefully a few months, we will come out with a new router that will replace this. And this will also have local and cloud management. We'll also provide obviously some VPN and firewall capability. Also, it's rumored to have, and I think this is going to be coming true, is dual WAN, and which is a big thing for HA or people who want some failover. It's a big ask, and so that's one thing that's coming up with multi-gig features as well. I think it can go, the rumor has it's going to be doing a 10 gig. There's going to be some 10 gig ports on that bad boy. So it's going to make sure, we're going to make sure it has a lot of the complete features that you'd want in a router that we just kind of talked about, that people want and need in today's society. So don't just take our word for it. There are some great online articles. There's 2 companies that NETGEAR had test and compare ourselves out there. We have a Tully report from the Tully Group and a Microcom report. These are both published online, found on our website. You can also Google them. But we kind of said, hey, compare us to some of the other traditionals. I think they compare us to Ubiquiti and Cisco as far as how we fare and what we compare. And they go through and they say, hey, you know, this is what NETGEAR does great, NETGEAR doesn't so great compared to others. And it really gives you a good, again, third-party independent testing to see. But ultimately what came out of both, and I'm not shocked, but it came out that NETGEAR is ultimately the best bang for the buck, is the best, you know, there's a great zone, your money goes to great things with it, and you're not overpaying and you're not underpaying, basically. On our switches, they always say, hey, yep, good performance on a limited budget. On our wireless side, they say great for the SMB, making sure it's fast, strong, reliability is there, and making sure it's easy to configure and set up. They talk about how the cost of ownership is very low for ours, especially when you're including multiple sites. So anyway, last kind of point, I have a little chart here that I like to show. RAE, reliability, affordability, and easy to use. We know that you can get the same, there are solutions out there, there are competitors out there that also have a remote cloud management software. You know, they are reliable, but are they affordable and easy to use? I think we all know kind of who we're talking about. Probably not. There's also another one that says maybe not reliable. Affordable, yeah, absolutely. Easy to use, depending on who you ask, right? You kind of have to really know what you're doing, but there are a lot of times where they make somewhere you can set it and forget it. But NETGEAR, we want to make sure that we hit all 3. Because of our technology and our expert partnership, our best-in-class warranties and support, we're reliable, affordable because we build infrastructures at the right cost. You'll never see NETGEAR ad at the Super Bowl, that's for sure. You'll never see, we don't pay for expensive marketing. We're able to save a lot of these costs and save these and pass them on to you. And then easy to use. I would say we're easy to use. You don't have to take a course. You don't have to take a training course to learn how our things work. They just work. They're meant to plug in. A lot of ours are plug and play, and they're meant to be that way. So that's why if you don't have NETGEAR as a remote cloud management solution, you absolutely should. And that's it, guys. And here's the Tully group if you ever see it, but we won't dive through it. But we're gonna just skip through this. Okay, any questions?
Hey, Jordan, thank you so much for that presentation. And it looks like we do have some questions. So let's get started with the first one. Of course, regarding the NETGEAR cloud management. Will your management have good security so that it is unaccessible unless you are in the same network?
So the remote management can be managed remotely from anywhere. You don't have to be on site or be on the same network. You don't have to VPN into it to be able to access it. But it does have top security. Does have dual encryption, so dual factor authentication to get in and to manage. So there is some security there, and obviously security also kind of embeds with you. You can go and set up your password when you create an Insight account. Make sure it's a very secure password and the basic kind of stuff, but it's very secure as far as remote management goes.
Great, thank you, Jordan. Next question, of course, regarding the NETGEAR cloud management. Will you be able to monitor all NETGEAR devices and non-NETGEAR brands?
Great question. The Insight will recognize a non-NETGEAR device connected to it, but as far as monitoring and being able to manage, it's not something you can just plug in and to your rack and see everything. These are remote things that are, the cloud is actually built onto the device itself. So the actual access points, the actual switches, the routers, they have it built inside. And so the feature to manage is just on the cloud managed device. So you can even have a NETGEAR device, like a NETGEAR switch, but if it doesn't have that cloud inside the device itself, if you have an older switch or an older access point, it will not be able to be managed via it. It will see it, and just like if you have any other products that are non-NETGEAR, if you have an access point or a switch connected, it'll say, hey, I obviously know there's a switch connected to me, and it will tell you that on like the network topology. It'll say there's a switch connected to me, but it won't go into an overview of what's connected to that switch, and like you would with you'd see with a NETGEAR remote cloud managed switch. Great question.
Thank you so much, Jordan. You did talk about the warranty, which is great because we always like to hear about that. Can you tell us a little bit more about support time and or a little bit more about if you can get like replacement parts to anyone overnight? Is that how it works? Can you go into a little more detail?
Yeah, so there's two types of support, right? There's hardware support that's like that comes with the warranty of the device. Like if you have a 5-year or limited lifetime warranty, if a port fails or something like that, there's always that type of support that you can chat and do a next business day replacement with on those. And then there's like a tech support that's like, hey, the device is working fine, but I'm having an issue doing this or doing that. And that's called Pro Support. And that's available 24/7 as well too, that you can purchase. It's optional. You don't have to have that support, but we offer it in 1, 3, and 5-year type lengths. So yes, when it comes time to like, it is possible to have something shipped out the next day. As far as but that support, it just kind of depends on are you falling on tech support or are you falling on hardware support? But yeah, we have that feature and we have the ability to take care of you when it comes up to support.
Thank you, Jordan. And regarding support, like, tech support, device support, even customer service, we can find all of that information on your website. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, our website has the numbers listed as far as tech support goes. Basically, there's customer support. I'm not familiar if we really have a customer support. We just have a tech support. We also have a pre-sale support line that's found on our website. That's if you do need help picking out what switch or what access point would best work. You can also reach out to your account rep at Microcom and they can also help you out there. But we definitely have all of our numbers are posted up on our website for any type of support that you might need.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question for you. Regarding chip shortage that everyone's experienced, can you tell us what's the latest on that or how it affected NETGEAR?
Yeah, NETGEAR was obviously no exception to the chip shortage. There were some products out there that kind of came and went pretty quick because of the chip shortage. NETGEAR, I would say at this point in time, NETGEAR's sitting at a pretty good healthy stock. We're really starting to have a good amount of stock that are like pre-COVID levels. I know a lot of our ETAs now are sub 30 days if we don't have it available. We're no longer near the 6 months to a year timeline. Definitely that's kind of in the past. Fingers crossed that that'll stay there. But the demand is still there, which is great, and we're fulfilling the demand. When it came time to the chip shortage, NETGEAR, I believe we only had maybe one official price increase across the entire board. And that was really just simply because during the 3 years of the pandemic, our CEO, Patrick Lowe, he pretty much went to Broadcom and Intel and these chip manufacturers and just kind of said, what is it going to take for NETGEAR to get priority on these chips? Like, what do I need to do? And ultimately it boiled down to, of course, that, hey, it's going to cost you more money if you want to be higher up in the line. And we ended up saying, okay. And our chipset costed about triple what it was, but it enabled us to get inventory in crucial times for our partners, and making sure that I feel like that's a big reason why we're looking so good today. I was just talking to another partner of mine, and they said, yeah, there are competitors out there that are still 6 months plus. I'm like, oof, that's rough. But right now, the stock is looking good. We're at a great price point still, even with that price increase. It was just a minor, but I mean, I know that there were some competitors out there who had multiple, month by month it could change. NETGEAR had pretty much one across the whole board, and we're sitting good now. We've got the stock, and fingers crossed, guys, that we don't have those levels again. I think we all kind of learned not to put all the eggs in one basket, and that's what NETGEAR is doing. I know that NETGEAR has been and is currently expanding on production of instead of just only being in China, but manufacturing in Singapore and Taiwan and Indonesia and those kind of countries. I know that NETGEAR is pretty much pulling from multiple sources to making sure that something like that doesn't happen. So.
Thank you so much for that, Jordan. And yes, I was going to ask about different places of location. NETGEAR is such a large company. You guys reach globally, so you obviously have resources in several countries, like you just mentioned. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan, for answering all those questions for us today, and thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions after the webinar, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view the products mentioned and shown here today, please know that this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel, so you can view all of it again and listen to all of Jordan's answers to all of our questions. Jordan, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time to be with Microcom today. And we'll follow up again with you in, maybe somewhere between 8 and 10 weeks or so we could see what else is going on with you guys.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Julie, and thanks for everybody for joining.
Thank you, Jordan. Everybody have a nice day.